Military neutralizes 151 terrorists, apprehends 456 in 2 weeks. World Food Program to fight hunger in Nigeria with $2.5 billion. Plus, Kim discusses sending North Korea into space. Hello and a warm welcome to News Live here on Viewer Television. And my name is Phillips Levin. The Defense Headquarters says troops of the Armed Forces of Nigeria have in the last 2 weeks eliminated a total of 151 terrorists and apprehended 456 others in different operations across the country. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, stated this while giving an update of military operations across the country in Abuja. Buba said the troops of Operation Hadinkai neutralized 44 terrorists, arrested 21, and rescued 4 kidnapped hostages during the period. He said the troops recovered 17 AK-47 rifles, 3 locally fabricated rifles, 3 locally made guns, 1 Beretta pistol, 3 Dane guns, and 116 rounds of 7.62mm special ammo. Also recovered, according to him, are 5 rounds of 7.62mm NATO, 13 rounds of 9mm ammo, 20 rounds of 7.62mm by 54 ammo, 42 empty and cases of 7.62mm by 54 ammo. Others are 12 magazines, 50 jerry cans of PMS, 3 vehicles, 5 mobile phones, 6 motorcycles, 3 cutlasses, and a sum of 3.18 million naira. And Buba said the troops arrested some suspected terrorist collaborators in Jere, Maiduguri, and Biu in Borno, as well as Gubja local government area of Yobe. He said that troops also ambushed and raided suspected terrorist hideouts in Konduga and Goza local government areas of Borno. The director said the offensive resulted in elimination of terrorists and recovery of arms and ammunition. The House of Representatives has denied claims by the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress that the federal government gave 100 million naira to members of the National Assembly as palliatives. The National Assistant Secretary of the NLC, Christopher Onyeka, had made the allegations in a statement issued in Abuja. Reacting to the allegation, House Committee Chairman on Media and Public Affairs, Akin Rotimi, described the allegations as baseless and devoid of factual accuracy. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives demands an immediate retraction of the lie and a public apology from the Nigerian Labour Congress. It also wishes to remind the NLC and indeed all Nigerians that in less than 100 days in the tenure of 10th Assembly, it has demonstrated commitment to the welfare of Nigerian workers and all Nigerians. The House further says it wishes to invite the NLC to see the National Assembly as partners rather than adversaries. On this note, the 10th Assembly of the House of Representatives wishes to reassure Nigerians that it remains committed to advancing the well-being of every constituency. Now, there is a widespread blackout across the country following the total collapse of Nigeria's electricity grid early hours of today. It was gathered that the grid collapsed totally around 12:40 a.m. on September 14, 2023, leading to the massive loss of supply to power distributors nationwide. Multiple sources in the power sector as well as electricity distribution companies confirmed the development to newsmen this morning. The Enugu Electricity Distribution Company PLC issued a notice titled Notice of Total System Collapse. The notice was signed by the head of Corporate Communications EEDC, Emeka Eze. The TCN, which manages Nigerian grid, is yet to make any statement about the development. About a week ago, the transmission firm celebrated what it described as 400 days of power grid stability in Nigeria, as it claimed that the grid witnessed no collapse all through the 400 days. A police officer has harassed the chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association Gombe branch and berated his disability upon arriving at the bank to do a transaction. The event, which was described as a major human rights violation and shaming of people with disability, has been condemned by the NBA Gombe State Branch, who says it is committed towards the defense of the dignity of human persons.
Police brutality seems to be alive and well in Nigeria, as the Nigerian Bar Association chairman Gombe State Branch, Barrister Benjamin Sati, has become the latest victim of alleged police brutality.
He started shouting, say, "Who is that one? Don't park there." And I was like, "Oga, it's the security man that asked me to park. Don't enter." I spoke in Hausa. "Don't enter a job that is not yours. It's the man that has the control of the premises that asked me to park there." Straight ahead, he said, "You are very stupid." And I was like, who does that in this age? I didn't introduce myself. There is no need. If I introduce myself and I got some soft landing, then someone who is nobody will just be trampled upon. So I started saying, like, I don't do this now. What's there? My colleague that came with me was very angry, and I know how he reacts to issues, but I decided to calm him down.
Sati says the heavily armed police officer hurled insults at him and also made derogatory statements about his disability.
Okay, when I said my father is a retired superintendent, he said, "I know you very well," were his words. I actually don't know him. He probably knows me. And little did I know, he used a very, very, very derogatory word on me. I have a problem with my leg, I had an accident, and he referred to me as a disabled in Hausa language. I felt we deserve something much more than this in a civilized society. He referred to me as Musaki, if you understand Hausa very well.
While the Gombe State Police Force is yet to give any official response, the NBA says it will leave no stone unturned in its pursuit of justice.
One woman police inspector, she's a mobile police too, came out and she was like, "Oh God, sorry. And he was angry with all of them, shouting at them, "Why are they apologizing to me?" The very same man that referred to me, and when he probably discovered who I am, and I said, "You are referring to the leader of all lawyers in Gombe as stupid." I said, "No problem." He said, "What can you do? What can you do?" And I just felt like this is so uncivilized. This is so barbaric. We are in the digital age. Why should someone take us back to the mercantilist era? If I allow him, if he has the opportunity, he would kill an ordinary Nigerian. They must be taught some lessons. I'm going to take up this matter seriously. I'm going to engage all stakeholders. I'm going to engage the Commissioner of Police, the Inspector General of Police. I'm engaging whoever is responsible. I don't have a gross with Access Bank. In fact, after all the insult, when I was waiting for my members to come to my rescue, I went into the bank and did my transaction.
The NBA says it remains focused towards championing the cause of justice and defending the defenseless, and will never succumb to such brutalities itself. Christopher Luka, Viewer Television News, Gombe.
The World Food Programme, WFP, has pledged to support President Tinubu's Zero Hunger Program under the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. A country director of WFP, David Stevenson, made this known today when he led a team of the United Nations UN agency to visit the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, in her office. Stevenson disclosed that 2.1 million Nigerians have already been captured as beneficiaries of the program, with the hope to expand working with the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. He pledged WFP support to the federal government's humanitarian and poverty alleviation effort, including the food security agenda and the Zero Hunger Program, among others. According to him, the organization was excited by the robust drive of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu's government to eradicate poverty and reduce humanitarian crisis in Nigeria, and the new energy which the monetary Dr. Betta Edu is bringing into the space. The hope to accomplish a lot together. And now we'll be going on a break, and when we return, we'll be looking at 7 killed in Indian-administered Kashmir gun battles. We have details of that and more after this break.
In this 21st century where all the information we need is now in the palm of our hands. News from around the world, entertainment, celebrity gossip, sports, and much more. The only thing that you need is the right source. Viewer TV is now on the go. Simply check us out on our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter for all the information you need.
Well, it's good to know that you are still with us on News Live. Now, before we move forward, here is a recap of our top stories. Military neutralizes 151 terrorists, apprehends 456 in 2 weeks. And also, World Food Program to fight hunger in Nigeria with $2.5 billion. Plus, Putin, Kim discuss sending North Korea into space. Moving forward. Now, dignitaries from diverse backgrounds have paid their respects to late Akintola Williams, Nigeria's pioneering indigenous chartered accountant, at his residence in Lagos. Now, Williams, a key figure in the development of the country's finance sector, passed away at the age of 104 on Monday. In that light, dignitaries have continued to offer their condolences during a visit to the place. Now, some of the dignitaries included the Group Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Exchange Group, Oscar Onyema, Chairman Yinka Folawiyo Group, Tijani Folawiyo, General Overseer of the Trinity House Ministry International, Pastor Itwa Igodalo, Senior Pastor of House on the Rock, Paul Adefaransi, former Group Chairman of EcoBank Transnational, Emmanuel Ikazobo, now Chairman of Lesaco Assurance, Teju Phillips, among others. Now, sources within the residence of the deceased also confirmed the expected presence of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, but as the time of filing this report, the governor had not yet arrived. Speaking exclusively, Kazobo said Williams was embodied into integrity and long-lasting values and influence. Ikazobo said the deceased was a great icon who imbibed his values, standards in everyone around, noting how that he is an embodiment of integrity. Ibodalo and grieved as he said it was a trying moment for him as well as others close allies. Now, this is stemming from the fact that he was quite close to Mr. Williams. The mention of Chief Akintola Williams, Nigeria's first indigenous chartered accountant, stirs a wellspring of memories. The Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Kaduna State has confirmed Marshal Katung of the People's Democratic Party as the winner of the Kaduna South Senatorial seat in southern Kaduna. The court gave this verdict on Wednesday, September 13, 2023. Now, earlier on, the petitioner, the Labour Party, filed a petition challenging the outcome of the election based on certain polling units. They alleged that elections were not conducted.
We'll obtain the judgment, look at it, and test some of these mandatory provisions as contained under the Act. Yes, because some of them have not been tested at the appellate or the appeals court. So we need some of this. We will obtain the judgment, looked at it, most particularly the provisions of that section 137 of the Electoral Act, which makes it mandatory and takes away the issue of dumping.
Today, the tribunal found out that they did not adduce credible evidence to establish those allegations as contained in their pleadings. That is the petition that was filed by them on behalf of their candidate, which is Michael Ayuba Auta. And it is on that basis that the tribunal have dismissed the petition for lack of evidence that is before them. They had made several attempts to get the tribunal to go into a fishing festival to fish evidence that was never tendered before it. And the tribunal is a court of justice, it's not a court of emotions. So it is what is before them that they will equally tender, that it is what is before them that they would deliver their judgment at the end of the day.
A batch of 20 young Nigerians, sponsored by Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board (NCDMB), have graduated from the Nigerian Navy on the Water Warfare School, Navy Town, Ojo, Lagos State. Now, reports show that the graduation ceremony held in partnership with the Nigerian Navy and America Dive Training Institute (MDTI) marked the end of a 5-month commercial air dive training program organized by the NCDMB for the certificated as Class I and Class 1 and Class 2 divers. Speaking at the ceremony, also the Executive Secretary NCDMB, Engineer Simbi Kesi Wabote, disclosed that the rapid expansion of the Nigerian offshore industry with more oil field development taking place in the deep offshore basin has necessitated aggressive skills development to support strategic projects. Wabote, who stated that some other training programs are already running and others expected to come on stream in the near future, also mentioned that the professional diving industry in Nigeria is currently dominated by foreigners. Now, he said the training program is aimed at addressing the situation. Now, Wabote emphasized that the board is tasked with the mandate of developing Nigerian content in the oil and gas industry and its linkage sectors, while prioritizing human capital development to areas with identified gaps of skilled and qualified citizens. He further expressed profound appreciation to the Nigerian Navy and America Dive Institute for the high safety ethics imbibed by trainers and trainees alike that made the program hugely successful without any untoward incident. The federal government has certified the Blue Rail infrastructure of the Lagos Rail Mass Transit as safe for passenger operation. According to the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA, Lamata in a statement stated that the certification follows a painstaking audit of the rail infrastructure by the Government Inspector of Railways from the Federal Ministry of Transportation. It also noted that certification is in accordance with Section 50 of 56 of the Nigerian Rail Act 1955. According to the safety certificate for commercial operation, Lagos Rail Master Transit Blue Line Marina Mile 2. Now, the certificate signed by Government Inspector of Railways Engineer Abdurrahman B. Yusuf stated that following successful trail operation carried out on the rail, the railway was certified safe for commercial operation. Now, Lamata added that the first phase is a 13-kilometer stretch from Marina to Mile 2 and has 5 stations at Mile 2, Suru Alaba, Orile Agamu, National Theatre and Marina. It is expected to move about 200,000 passengers daily. In an official statement released via its official channel, now the Federal Aviation Authority of Nigeria (FAN) has announced the temporary closure of Yakubu Gowon Airport in Jos for a duration of 1 week. The closure, scheduled for runway maintenance, is set to take place from September 23 to September 29, 2023. Now, FAN has advised all air travelers to take note of this development and make necessary alternative travel arrangements during the specified period. The agency expresses regret for any inconveniences this temporary closure may cause to its valued customers. Now, notably, Yakubu Gowon Airport underwent renovation work in 2020 with the aim of attracting more airlines and passengers to the route. More recently, Caleb Moftwang, the governor of Plateau State, inaugurated a direct flight route from Abuja to Jos, further enhancing transportation services within the state. This initiative followed the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the state government and ValueJet Airline. A quick reminder that you're still watching News Live here on Viewer Television. Now we'll be having business and international news up next. Don't go nowhere.
Let's get to advertise your products and services on our platform. Viewer Television is here to give your business a boost with a touch of professionalism. If you're a brand owner, entrepreneur, proud business owner, let's place your business in the face of your customers. Contact us so we can talk business on 081-2121-2278 or info@viewertv.com.ng. Always remember, we are here for you.
The Naira has fallen further to the dollar today after closing at 950 Naira per dollar at the parallel market. Bureau the change operators who spoke to newsmen said the Naira, which had earlier closed at 930 per dollar at the close of operations on early this week, was bought and sold at 935 per dollar and 950 Naira per dollar on today. At the investor and exporter forex window, the Naira closed at 751.12 Naira per dollar on today from 742.10 on yesterday. According to figures obtained from the FMDQ, the official trading platform, BDC operator Sanusi Ibrahim said Naira was bought and sold at 935 Naira per dollar and 950 per dollar today. However, what will happen tomorrow is unknown. The Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria recently urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to grant Bureau de Change Operators digital autonomy to achieve exchange rate convergence. In a statement, the President APCON, Dr. Aminu Gwadabe, called on the Apex Bank to grant a no objection approval for the BDCs to fully go digital on all their operational correspondences. Special Advisor to Delta State Governor on Niger Delta Affairs, Grifson Omatsule, has described as dangerous the clamors for the federal government to withdraw the services of pipeline surveillance companies in the Niger Delta. He stated this during a recent tour of the 87-kilometer Trans-Forcados pipeline contracted to an indigenous firm, Ocean Marine Solution. According to him, the effect of the vandalism of the pipeline has a terrible impact on the economy, ecosystem, health, infrastructure, and the aquatic life of the communities. Hence, withdrawing the services of surveillance firm will worsen vandalism and reduce government revenues from oil states. Now, he said that vandals had committed many atrocities that should not be encouraged. He explained that the pipelines had so far been kept safe with the help of the communities, the Nigerian Navy, and other regulatory agencies. The OV of Ogeli Kingdom, His Majesty Joe Wilson or Jacovo Oharisi III, also commended the ongoing surveillance of NNPCL-OMS partnership and passionately appealed to the federal government to sustain the initiative and save the community from activities of vandals. A presidential delegation that recently inspected key oil facilities in the Niger Delta region revealed that Nigeria currently loses $4 million daily to crude oil theft, vandalism of assets, among others. President Bola Tinubu yesterday directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to create a platform for quarterly reconciliatory meetings with foreign airlines to address the backlog of trapped funds in excess of $600 million. Now, this came as leading aircraft manufacturer Airbus industry on the sidelines of the summit predicted that Nigeria's domestic air traffic was set to increase by 5% annually for the next 2 decades. This is even as International Air Transport Association IATA criticized Nigeria over multiple charges imposed on airlines operators operating in the country. Now, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development Festus Keyamo, who disclosed news of the reconciliatory meeting yesterday at the ongoing African Aviation Summit in Abuja, noted that the development was one of the reasons President Tinubu traveled to United Arab Emirates. He also unveiled 3 roadmap projects, which include Aerotropolis Aircraft Leasing Company, ALC, and maintenance, repair, and overall MRO facility, as well as 5 focus areas to realize the country's vision of becoming the aviation hub in Africa. The federal government has announced that it issued letters of award to 42 firms for the 2022 Nigerian gas flare commercialization program. It announced this in a statement issued in Abuja by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. Now, 38 of the company's entities have been awarded 40 flare sites for standalone single flare site development, while 4 are awarded 9 sites to be developed as cluster reserve bidders. Now, status has also been accorded some companies for the corresponding flare sites in case of preferred bidders fail to meet the terms and conditions stipulated in the RFP, which is request for proposal. The NUPRC said award letters were already being transmitted to the respective successful entities through the appropriate channels. Recall that in the 3rd quarter of 2022, the NUPRC restructured the gas flare commercialization program and relaunched it to align with the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act, as well as reflect the prevailing economic and operational realities in Nigeria. And away from Nigeria, Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un have discussed the possibility of sending a North Korean into space. A Putin spokesman says President Putin and a North Korean leader held talks at a spaceport in Russia's Far East. If that were to happen, the cosmonaut will be the first North Korean ever to go into space. Kim is visiting Russia as Putin seeks to bolster alliances with other leaders ostracized by Western countries. The two leaders met at the Vostochny Cosmodrome with footage released by the Kremlin showing the pair shaking hands and enthusiastically as Kim arrived. They then toured assembly and launch facilities for the Angara and Soyuz, two space rocket launches, before sitting down for talks. The meeting at the Cosmodrome was symbolic, especially as Pyongyang recently failed twice in its bid to put a military spy satellite into orbit. Now, this close relationship, you will recall, is geared towards fostering the technological military strength of North Korea. And Russia, on the other hand, will benefit from North Korea's military might. It is expected that North Korea will supply Russia weapons as Russia returns this favor by boosting North Korea's military technology. Meanwhile, the close relationship between these two powers seems to be a major threat to the United States. 5 Indian officers and 2 suspected rebels have been killed in separate gun battles this week in Indian-administered Kashmir, with clashes ongoing. Officials in the disputed region said Thursday 2 Indian Army officers and a senior policeman carrying out a security sweep in a forested area of the southern Kashmir Valley were ambushed and killed, with the 2 suspected gunmen hauled up and firing at soldiers encircling their position. India's Kashmir police said their force had surrounded 2 men they said belonged to the Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba militant group. Now, 4 people were killed on Tuesday, an Indian soldier, a police officer, and 2 suspected rebels, during a prolonged firefight in the mountainous Rajouri area. Gunmen first shot dead an army sniffer dog that had led the soldiers to the militants. And the deaths are the latest in the troubled Muslim majority region, also claimed by Pakistan. Sudan's army chief has headed to Turkey on his 5th foreign visit since late August as he vies for legitimacy in the devastating power struggle with his former deputy, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who has been de facto head of state since he led a 2021 coup while hold talks with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on bilateral relationship ways to strengthen them, said the Sudanese leader office until late last month. Burhan had been holed up under siege in army headquarters in Khartoum ever since fighting erupted on April 15th between his loyalists and fighters of the paramilitary Rapid Military Support Forces, led by his former deputy, Mohamed Hamdan Dagio. From his new base in the Red Sea coastal city of Port Sudan, he has since visited Egypt, South Sudan, Qatar, and Eritrea in what analysis is a diplomatic push to burnish his credentials in the event of negotiation to end the conflict. Now, the fighting, which has already killed nearly 7,500 people, according to a conservative estimate from the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, showed no sign of any letup, particularly in the way battlegrounds of Khartoum and the Darfur region. Emergency workers have uncovered hundreds of bodies in the wreckage of Libya's eastern city of Derna, which authorities consider as the worst hit area in a very tragic situation that is being experienced in the Libyan town of Sousa, located on the Mediterranean coast in the east of the country. as Storm Daniel left it submerged in rainwater, making it impossible to resume rescue work by land. The only mountain road linked Sosa to the nearby town of Shahat, which is Siren, was completely destroyed after its collapse due to the floods. Abdul Rahim Al-Sharif, Al-Fadis town resident, shared his experience. Now, the city also suffered from a complete loss of electricity and communication, although 3 days have passed since 2 dams collapsed during the storm. Now, flooding the nearby areas, no government party has visited the city to see the extent of tragedy and send rescue teams. The town of Sosa is inhabited by about 8,000 people, and by number of victims killed as a result of the flood is not yet known. Authorities said the massive flooding had killed at least 5,100 people, with the toll expected to rise further. Now, the starting death and devastation wreaked by a Mediterranean storm Daniel pointed to the storm intensity, but also the vulnerability of the nation torn apart by chaos for more than a decade. And with that story, we come to the end of News Live. But before we go, let's take a look at our top stories for this evening. If military neutralizes 151 terrorists and apprehends 456 in 2 weeks. And also World Food Program to fight hunger in Nigeria with $2.5 billion. Putin, Kim discuss sending North Korean into space. Well, that's all on News Live. Thank you for your time and, of course, your company. On behalf of the rest of the production team, do have a lovely evening. My name is Philip Slevin.